Naruto, God-level system author, Blue Water God. Chapter 291 Scorpion vs Orochimaru. Flew tail on the back. A scorpion tail made of steel appeared behind Flew. The extremely sharp scorpion tail was coated with poison, and it would be poisoned as long as it was scratched. And the poison is very strong. Scorpion has learned to make poison from his grandmother Chiyo. Chiyo's poison is quite powerful. During the Third Ninja War, Konoha's medical ninja had nothing to do with Chiyo's poison. Although the poison made by the scorpion is not as good as that of his grandmother, it is not much worse. The scorpion tail swept away, and the densely packed snakes died. Some were cut in half, some were bruised, and then died of poisoning. The strength is really good, but it's not enough. The formation of one shell. Orochimaru sneered. An explosion sounded. The group of snakes surrounding the scorpion was detonated, and Flew was directly blown to pieces, revealing the body of the scorpion. I have to say that the scorpion is very perverted, and if he transforms himself into a puppet, the regeneration core in his chest is still the body, and the regeneration core is the heart of the scorpion. As long as the regeneration core is not destroyed, the scorpion will not die, which means that he is an immortal body. Destroy my work and give me death. Scorpion roared. Red Secret Skills 100 Machines Exercise. This is Scorpion's strongest puppet technique. It can control hundreds of puppets at the same time. With this technique, Scorpion can destroy a country alone. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Orochimaru has seen quite a few puppet masters, but Scorpion is definitely the strongest puppet master Orochimaru has ever seen. In Orochimaru's point of view, in terms of numbers, absolutely no one can match the Scorpion. Of course, this is because Orochimaru doesn't understand Tenseikan. Facing Scorpion's strongest secret technique, Orochimaru was not afraid, but was only surprised. Although there were many of these puppets, the quality could not be guaranteed. Spirituality, 10,000 snakes. In the face of the siege, Orochimaru summoned 10,000 snakes without hesitation. Orochimaru, I didn't say, don't call me when you're okay. One she roared arrogantly. Remember to give me 100, no, 200 living people are sacrificed, or I will eat you. No problem, as long as you solve them first. Orochimaru showed a faint smile and pointed at the puppets of the scorpion. Humphrey, Scrap Copper and Diane. One she said extremely arrogantly and arrogantly. TSK. 10,000 snakes should be glad it wasn't my psychic beast, otherwise it would have turned to ashes now. Xianchen put his feet on the trunk and lay on the thick branches. Xianchen is very displeased with a psychic beast like one snake, but he is just a beast. No matter how strong he is still a beast. What's more, in Xianchen's eyes, one snake is not strong, far worse than his five-tailed psychic beast. I don't know how Uy is now, but Xianchen can feel that this guy has not been caught. Of course, even if he is caught, Xianchen doesn't care. In the past, Xianchen could take a look at the tailed beast, but now he doesn't look at the tailed beast at all, including 10 tails. In the eyes of Xianchen, Wunsch's strength is rubbish, but to others, it is a very powerful psychic beast. The scorpion's puppet could not break the defense of the snake at all. With a flick of the snake's tail, countless puppets can be shattered. Scorpion felt distressed when he saw this scene. These puppets were all his hard work, and now they were all smashed by Orochimaru's psychic beast, which made Scorpion even more dissatisfied with Orochimaru. Originally, Scorpion hated Orochimaru, but now it is extremely hated, and it has even risen to the level of hatred. Okay. Just when the two were about to continue fighting, Pain stood up to stop it. Pain can make them dissatisfied with each other, but he will never let them develop into enemies, otherwise it will be detrimental to the development of Xiao's organization. What are you? Get away from me. One she gave Pain a disdainful look, with an arrogant look on his face. Pain's face didn't change much because he was already dead, but he was manipulating Pain's Nagato in the distance, with anger on his face. Wangxiang Tanyan, the indifferent voice sounded, and Wunsch didn't even have the ability to resist, so he was attracted by Pain's gravity. Shenliu Otanzing. The voice was even colder this time. The huge repulsion force tore several huge wounds on its body at the same time as it smashed the snake into the sky. Fortunately, one snake's body is soft. Even if one snake's vertebrae were broken, after a bang, one snake returned to the psychic world. Orochimaru didn't say anything about Wunsch's serious injury, but looked at Pain's reincarnation eyes even more coveted. Pain could also feel Orochimaru's greedy gaze, but he didn't care. He believed that he had absolute strength to deter Orochimaru. One snake was beaten back to the psychic world, and Scorpion also stopped, silently putting away those puppets. From today, Scorpion and Orochimaru will form a group, Pain announced lightly. Scorpion frowned. He really didn't want to be in a group with Orochimaru. Orochimaru smiled strangely at Scorpion, and he didn't care who he was with. I don't want to team up with him, because I'm afraid that one day he will be turned into a puppet. Scorpion said directly. I'm also very interested in you. Orochimaru stared at each other closely. Not many people can completely transform themselves into puppets, but Orochimaru is very interested. This matter is settled. Pain made the decision directly. He couldn't trust Orochimaru, so he made Scorpion and Orochimaru form a team. just to let Scorpion supervise him. With a relationship between the two of them, if Orochimaru wants to do something unfavorable to Akatsuki, Scorpion will definitely expose him. After Yahiko's death, Nagato, who was simple and a little weak, has completely matured. Hyuga Hamura, you can join me. Pain looked at Hinata Hamura. Yeah. Nodding lightly, Hinata 353 Umura continued to remain silent. Hey, it's time to pay back the money you owe me. Don't think that you don't have to pay back when you die. Suddenly, Rixianchin jumped down from the tree and said lightly. Pain, who was about to leave, was startled, and turned sharply to look at Rixianchin, who was walking slowly. Chen, why are you here? Sheng Shu looked surprised when he saw Rixianchin. Of course he came after you. The boss of your Xiao organization owes me 10 billion duels. He has owed it for several years. I'm here to collect the debt. Rixianchin smiled lightly. When Hyuga Hamura saw Hyuga Chen, he hurriedly came over to salute, but was stopped by Sun Xianchin's eyes. Except for Orochimaru, who has been paying attention to Hinata Hamura, no one else has seen this scene. Orochimaru showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. Originally, he felt that the Hyuga Hamura was not simple. Now, looking at his actions, the old man named Hyuga Hamura should be Xianchin's subordinate. It's you. Pain's voice was angry. Chen Jun, it's been a long time no see. Orochimaru greeted Rixianchin. Uncle Snake, I didn't expect you to become a traitor too. Could it be that you feel that Konoha's life is not good, so you defected? Rixianchin's eyes turned to Orochimaru. Yeah. After becoming a rebel, it's much better than before. Orochimaru nodded. After becoming a rebel, he didn't need to hide what research experiments he was going to do. Chapter 292, Orochimaru, who found the conspiracy atmosphere. Nagato, who manipulated Pain from a distance, was furious. These people were just like talking at home, completely ignoring him. The self-proclaimed Nagato got angry and manipulated Pain to attack Rixianchin. Rixianchin was stunned for a moment, looking at Tantao Pain who was rushing towards him with a black stick. He didn't expect that he would dare to attack him. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru showed a good-looking smile on his face. It's reasonable for you not to pay back the money you owe. If you attack me, you're still unreasonable. Rixianchin kicked him. Bang! Tantao Pain, like a rag doll, was kicked hundreds of meters by Rixianchin, and he didn't know how many trees were broken. The Scorpion of Chisha was dumbfounded, and everyone else knew that Rixianchin was very strong, so they were not surprised. But the Scorpion of the Red Sand didn't know about Rixianchin at all. After the Second Ninja World War, the major ninja villages seem to have negotiated and deliberately forgot about Rixianchin. Almost nothing about Rixianchin is mentioned anymore. The purpose is to eliminate the psychological shadow that Rixianchin has left on them. So Chisha Scorpion didn't know Rixianchin, and he began to watch Rixianchin provoke the leader. He thought this guy was going to die. Unexpectedly, Rixianchin slapped him in the face instantly and kicked Pain out with one kick. Shenliu Otanzing. The trees and the earth were lifted up, and the majestic and unparalleled repulsion rushed in, and everything in front of them was shattered by the repulsion. No, retreat quickly. Jiaodu's pupils shrank suddenly, and quickly retreated to the back. This power is too strong. Even if he has 10 lives, it is not enough to lose, and he can definitely kill him in seconds. Nawaki, Scorpion, and Orochimaru are not slow. They quickly retreated to the back. They dare not fight against this kind of attack. Zhu and Hyuga Hamura also withdrew, and Reed's face showed concern. Of course not for Rixianchin, but for Pain. The wind is quite cool. Rixianchin stood there, completely ignoring Pain's Shenliu Otanzing. How is that possible? It can be ignored. The Red Sand Scorpion said in shock. That kind of majestic repulsion, he couldn't think of anyone who could stop it, and this unknown person was not harmed at all. Vientiane Tanyan. Rixianchin stretched out his hand, and the gravitational force that erupted from his hand made Pain unable to resist at all. Pain was pulled over, and then was grabbed by Rixianchin's neck and smashed to the ground, and the ground cracked like a spider web. Why can he use the same ninjutsu as the leader? Jiaodu asked in confusion. He can use it, why can't I use it? Rixianchin's voice came from behind Jiaodu. Jiaodu was sweating coldly on his forehead. If the other party wanted to kill him, he would have to lose at least one heart now, and he might be killed directly. It's elusive. It scared me to death. Sheng Shi looked at Rixianchin resentfully, and was startled by Rixianchin just now. And Rixianchin always appeared like this, and he was almost scared to the point of insane. At the same time, 5 ninjas with reincarnation eyes and black sticks came over and stood with Tantao Pain who got up. What's the matter? Why are there so many Samsara eyes? Orochimaru was the one who was most surprised. Seeing so many Samsara eyes, he was confused. Could it be that the eyes of reincarnation are already rotten, and there are 6 pairs of them all at once? Is this really the eyes of reincarnation that created the world and destroyed the world? Chen Jun, what's going on? Orochimaru, who had recovered from the chaos for a long time, asked Rixianchin. He believed that Rixianchin should know. Don't you feel that there is no breath of life on them? They are just puppets controlled by Samsara Eye. Rixianchin said flatly. but these plain words made other people who didn't know it set off a storm in their hearts. Mirror clone. A clone with all the abilities of Rick Xianqian came out, but this clone only had the power of 30% of Rick Xianqian. Do you look down on me? There was anger in Tan Daopain's voice, and he used avatars to deal with them. This is to look down on him. Go ahead and talk about it. Rick Xianqian shrugged. Although the mirror clone only had 30% of his power, hanging Nagato was as easy as playing. Not to mention Nagato, even Otsutsuki Yu is not an opponent of Hike Xianqian's mirror image clone. With Hike Xianqian's current strength, 30% of the power can easily defeat Otsutsuki Yu. Strange wrist rocket. Shuradao's fist flew like a rocket. However, the fist was caught by the mirror clone, and then squeezed into pieces. Light speed kick. A beam of light shattered the Azure Dao in an instant, and also destroyed the earthly Dao and held down next to the Azure Dao. With just one blow, 3 of Pain's 6 paths were killed. Nagato, who controlled Pen's 6 paths in the distance, looked horrified. How could it be so strong? It was obviously just a clone, and a random blow could cause such a powerful force of destruction. Hyde stared at the mirror avatar tightly, and he wanted to collect Rick Xianqian's intelligence through Rick Xianqian's mirror avatar. Rick Xianqian is the biggest enemy in Hyde's heart and the biggest obstacle to completing the plan. Nagato, hidden in the distance, rushed out and confronted the mirror clone. He didn't want Yahiko's body to be destroyed, so he resolutely chose to expose it in front of the stage. Nagato brat, remember to make up the money you owe me, otherwise the next time it will be destroyed, it will be more than these 3 corpses. Rick Xianqian looked at Nagato who came out, released the mirror image clone, and said lightly, Seeing Rick Xianqian withdrew his hand, Nagato's eyes showed confusion. I really want to kill you. You are already dead. As if seeing Nagato's puzzlement, Hike Xianqian said softly. If he hadn't told the mirror clone to keep his hand, a light speed kick would have killed all of Pen's 6 paths and Nagato hidden in the dark. He is the real owner of the Samsara Eye. It seems a little familiar. Isn't this the disciple accepted by that idiot Jiraiya? Orochimaru looked at Nagato and frowned secretly. Orochimaru was annoyed in his heart. If he knew that the kid had reincarnation eyes, he would have dug it down long ago, and he would have missed out on an unknown number of billions. At the same time, doubts arose in Orochimaru's heart. Didn't Rick Xianqian say that Samsara's eye evolved from Sharingan? This Nagato is obviously not a member of the Uchiha family. Could it be that Rick Xianqian lied to him? Orochimaru just thought about it, and denied it in his heart. Rick Xianqian had no need to deceive him. In other words, these reincarnation eyes may not necessarily belong to Nagato. The shock on Orochimaru's face flashed. At this moment, Orochimaru's pursuit of these reincarnation eyes suddenly faded, or he was a little afraid to move, because he didn't know who these reincarnation eyes belonged to. Maybe Rick Xianqian will know. Orochimaru glanced at Rick Xianqian's back. Although he was greedy for Samsara Eye, Orochimaru cared more about his own life. He felt that it was better to be cautious about something that could tell a big conspiracy at a glance. Rick Xianqian looked back at Orochimaru. He could sense the distance fluctuation of Orochimaru's emotions just now. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and it seemed that Orochimaru had discovered it. Also, Orochimaru is a smart person, and he once told Orochimaru that Samsara Eye was evolved from Sharingan, so it is not surprising that Orochimaru can find out that something is wrong. Chapter 293 Mutual Interest. Akatsuki's group looked at Nagato strangely, and the atmosphere fell silent. Nagato doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he is exposed in front of the stage. He is not the same as the original. His legs were injured by the detonating talisman and he couldn't walk. If it wasn't for the masked man's suggestion, Nagato would have been standing in front of the stage long ago. What do you want? After a long silence, Nagato finally spoke. Rick Xianqian looked at him with a foolish look. Didn't he make it clear before? Why is this guy still asking? Are your ears bad? Then I'll repeat it. You used to owe me 10 billion tals. Now it has been more than 3 years, and the interest will be tripled. After taking out 30 billion tals, I will not trouble you, Chen said lightly. The corners of the mouths of everyone in Xiao's organization twitched. Is this interest so long? So scary? Nagato was also angry, staring at Rick Xianqian with cold eyes. What are you looking at? I'll go to collect debts and die with you, but I didn't ask you to compensate. Rick Xianqian's face showed dissatisfaction. At the beginning, Hike Xianqian asked Hike Xiang Yumura and Hike Xiang Qingqing to go to Xiao to organize debt collection. As a result, one of these 2 guys came to greet him, and the other was beaten to death by Uchiha Madara for peeping at the Samsara Eye. Hike Xiang Qingqing also died because of Nagato. This kid. If Hike Xianqian asked him to compensate, according to the price of the underground black market rewarding shadow-level masters, why would it have to be more than 1 billion yuan? Rick Xianqian felt that he was too generous by saving him more than 1 billion yuan. Don't worry, the money is not much. It's enough to destroy a few wealthy businessmen and rob them of their property. Rick Xianqian gave him an idea. Nagato glanced at Hike Xianqian and finally nodded. I'll give you 3 days for money, and let this guy notify me after 3 days. Rick Xianqian pointed to the Nawaki. Don't blame me for not reminding you. If there is no money after 3 days, there is no need for the Xiao organization to exist. After issuing a warning to Nagato, Xianchen used space ninjutsu to leave. Orochimaru raised his head, but seeing that Xianchen had already left, he could only put down his hands helplessly. He still had questions to ask! After Xianchen left, everyone in Akatsuki's organization focused their attention on Nagato. I didn't expect the previous leader to be a puppet. Zhao Du broke the embarrassment of the atmosphere. It's really interesting. Orochimaru stuck out his long tongue and licked the corner of his mouth, staring at Nagato's samsara eyes with greed flashing in his eyes. Although it is guessed that the Eye of Reincarnation may be a conspiracy, if the Eye of Reincarnation can be obtained, Orochimaru will definitely not give up. Pain will still be your leader in the future, Nagato said lightly, and then turned around and left regardless of them. It doesn't matter to everyone in the Xiao organization. In fact, even if the Xiao organization really changes a leader, they will not have any opinion. Of course, the leader of the Akatsuki organization must have the strength to subdue them, otherwise no one will obey a person who is weaker than them. In particular, they are a group of rebellious, lawless rebels, and they are all vicious characters. I'll give you more advice in the future. I'm very interested in you. Orochimaru walked in front of Scorpion and stared at him closely. If you don't know it, you might think that Orochimaru is a pervert, and it's a scorpion. In fact, Orochimaru just wanted to turn scorpions into research materials. After all, not many people transformed themselves into puppets. Even if there is, it is different from the scorpion. They only transformed a certain part of the body, while the scorpion has transformed all of itself into a puppet. Similarly, I'm also interested in you. Scorpion also showed no weakness. Orochimaru used him as research material, and Scorpion wanted to make Orochimaru a puppet. Looking at the mutual interest between the two sides, the corners feel a little hot. It's a waste of time for me to make money, Zhao Du said coldly, then turned and left. Hey, Zhao Du, wait for me. Nawaki hurriedly chased after him. Actually, I'm also very interested in you. Orochimaru looked to the side in black and white, and his presence didn't seem to be very high. Oh, Lord Orochimaru, I'm just a scout. How can a little guy like me look like you? Beige said. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with light like a poisonous snake, and he wanted to make a move. This guy looked too strange, and Orochimaru wanted to dissect and study him. Leader Pain said that he hates people who kill their companions the most. Hyge felt Orochimaru's killing intent and warned lightly. Haha, you think a snake will have a companion? Orochimaru sneered, but didn't make an absolute move. To be honest, Orochimaru is still afraid of the leader of the Xiao organization, the kid with the eyes of reincarnation, because the Eye of Reincarnation is too mysterious. He doesn't understand the ability of Eye of Reincarnation at all. But what he saw today can make Orochimaru jealous. Boring, Hinata Hamura said coldly, and then left silently. Zhou also left. Orochimaru staring at his prey made him a little uncomfortable. The remaining Orochimaru and Scorpion stood silently in this messy forest that had been destroyed by most of them. Your husband is back. Why don't you come out to greet him? Xianchen stood in the courtyard and shouted loudly. Come back when you come back. What are you talking about? Tsunade stuck his head out of the door and gave him a dissatisfied look. What are you doing? Terumi masked, lying on Xianchen and sniffing at the same time, until she didn't notice any strange scents. She breathed a sigh of relief. With black lines all over his head, Xianchen pushed Terumi away and entered the room. When I entered the room, I saw Tsunade and the others were playing dice, and whoever lost would put stickers on their faces. Now Tsunade can no longer see their faces. The four of them, Hong, Lin, Hongdu, and Xian, went out to practice. Samyue, Mabui and the other little maids were dedicated and were cleaning. Xianchen came over and sat beside Tsunade. Seeing that Tsunade kept losing, he was full of interest, and felt speechless. Xianchen admired Tsunade's mentality very much. If it were him who kept losing like this, his mentality would have exploded long ago. Bang! The table was broken into pieces. Tsunade looked gloomy, and he lost again. Xianchen was stunned. He had just finished admiring in his heart when Tsunade slapped him in the face. All right. It seems that Tsunade is still so irritable. This is already the 173rd table. Jixina made another table with a wooden dungeon expressionlessly. Master Tsunade, why don't you just stop playing? Mute advised by the side. How about that? Continue. This time I'm small. I don't believe it's big every time. Tsunade pushed the mute away, looking like a real gambler. Why don't you forget it? It's already evening, so I have to cook and eat. Mikoto said. Sister Tsunade, your face is covered with notes, and there is nowhere to put them. Xiaonan said softly. It's okay, let's continue. Aren't there those maids? Let them cook. Tsunade held Mikoto who wanted to leave and continue to play. Chapter 294 Daily. The girls played until 8 o'clock in the evening and finally ended. At this time, Xianchen no longer sympathizes with Tsunade who has been losing, but sympathizes with Kaiosina and the others who play with Tsunade. I'm so tired, I'll never play with her again. Kushina lay on the sofa and said with a sigh, she had already won the numbness. Moreover, Tsunade is too tenacious and indomitable. She has been losing without destroying her confidence, and she is still thinking of winning back. which is really scary. It's finally time to eat. Hongdu, who came back from practice, touched her stomach. After a day of practice, her already hungry stomach growled. Yikang, the four of you hurry up and bring the food, Ruxianchan shouted. When the dishes were served, everyone was expressionless and dared not move their chopsticks, even the very hungry red beans. What is this and who made it? Ruxianchan pointed at a plate of coke on the table with a blank expression. Grilled fish. I made it. As Abuil raised his hand weakly. I guess it's also you. It doesn't matter if you say that you have dark skin. After all, you are beautiful, but you don't need to make the grilled fish the same color as you. Ruxianchan sighed and shook his head. Mabuil looked aggrieved. Why do you always talk about me being black? My skin color is natural and I can't control it. And this soup, is this thing poison? Ruxianchan looked at the green miso soup, still bubbling. How was this weird soup made? I always thought Tsunade and Kushina were the pinnacles of the dark cooking world, but I didn't expect that I was too young. Ruxianchan leaned back on the chair, as if it said that I had little knowledge. I think you are very talented, and you are fully capable of replacing Tsunade and Kushina, and becoming the leader of the dark cooking world. I believe in you. Ruxianchan patted Azabui's shoulder with a serious look. The kaki chopsticks were broken by the angry Tsunade and Kushina. The two of them tacitly threw their fists at the same time, and the tender pink fist hit Ruxianchan's face. Why do you keep using us as an analogy? Kushina looked angry. Beat people but not face. You are going too far. Fortunately, I'm thick-skinned, otherwise my handsome face will be ruined by you. Ruxianchan stretched out his hand and pinched their faces. It hurts. Let me go, too. There were tears in Tsunade and Kushina's eyes. If you want me to let you go so easily, there is no door, so give me a good repentance. Ruxianchan added a little more strength. It hurts. Brother Chen, can you let me go? I don't dare anymore, Juxinai said softly. Her pitiful big eyes staring at Ruxianchan. I didn't expect Kushina to be so unscrupulous. Mikoto and Terumim secretly complained. Seeing Kushina begging for mercy, Ruxianchan also let go of her, and then looked at Tsunade on the other side. What are you looking at? Do you think Tsunade and Kushina are the same people? Tsunade was uncompromising, looking arrogant, and looked at Kushina with contempt. Damn, teach her a hard lesson. Kushina gritted her teeth and stared angrily at Tsunade, who pretended to be aloof. My Tsunade will die of pain, and I will never. Ruxianchan sneered, and before Tsunade could finish speaking, the strength in his hand increased again. Ah! It hurts. I beg for mercy. Xiao-chen, please let me go. A tear dropped from Tsunade's eyes, indicating that it was really painful. What do you call me? Xiao-chen. Brother Chen, please let me go. I don't dare anymore. Tsunade was embarrassed and annoyed. In front of so many sisters, it was really embarrassing. Seeing that you are sincere, I will let you go once. Ruxianchan let go. Tsunade covered her slightly red and swollen face, feeling bitter in her heart, but she didn't expect Ruxianchan to be really cruel, and she didn't know Liang Xiangxu at all. Looking at Kushina's contemptuous eyes, Tsunade wanted to find a hole in the ground to get in, which was really embarrassing. Even before the harsh words were released, he was slapped in the face by himself. The slap in the face came too fast. You guys, don't think I'll let you go so easily. Ruxianchan looked at the four little maids with happy expressions on their faces. Then, what do you want? Yumo asked in a low voice. What do I want? Ha ha ha. Ruxianchan laughed wildly, looking at the four little maids jokingly. It's very simple. Either you eat these things, or one of you will warm the bed for me. Ruxianchan's evil eyes stared at the four little maids recklessly. The four looked tangled, looked at Ruxianchan, and then looked at the dark dishes on the table, and immediately made up their minds. Let's warm up the bed. Eating this kind of dark food is probably not as good as dying. But when it comes to warming the bed, who'll go? Four daughters, you look at me, I look at you, but they don't speak. Don't worry, teacher is just joking for you, isn't it teacher? Yui Hong said through gritted teeth. For some unknown reason, when Ruxianchan asked their four daughters to choose to warm the bed, Hong Yui felt very uncomfortable, so she interrupted her out loud. Even if I warm the bed for the teacher, it will not be your turn. Teacher, I will warm the bed for you. Hongdu patted the well-developed Shinku. Kushina, Mikoto, and the others looked at Hong and Anko with strange eyes at the same time, and then glared at Ruxianchan again. Teacher likes to make jokes like this every day, really? No. Haruin blushed. The atmosphere suddenly became weird. All the girls stared at Ruxianchan with complicated eyes, jealous, loving, and complicated. You all look at me, I'll be embarrassed. Ruxianchan shyly buried his head in Tsunade's arms. The strong smell of milk came, and Ruxianchan's head sank into it. It can only be said that it was really big and big. Ruxianchan didn't want to get up when he lay on it. It was too soft. You bullied me just now, and now you want to take advantage of me. Don't even think about it. Tsunade shoved Xianchan away. Mikoto. Son Xianchan, who was pushed away, looked at Mikoto. Mikoto smiled softly, and then opened her arms. Ruxianchan slammed his head into Mikoto's arms. Although Mikoto was not as big as Tsunade, she was full of flexibility. Ruxianchan narrowed her eyes comfortably. Mikoto said with a look of embarrassment, If you dare to move again, don't blame me for letting you get up. Hearing this, Xianchen stopped moving, lying in Mikoto's arms and sniffing the fragrance of Mikoto's body. Such a life is really happy. Remove these, Xiaonan. Let's cook. Xianchen found a comfortable position and said softly. Really? Just like a great master, Kushina said in a low voice. Xianchen glanced at Juxinai and asked, am I not the eldest master? Yes. Kushina waved his hands perfunctorily. Your attitude is really annoying. Xianchen raised his head and cast a threatening look at Kushina, who immediately lowered his head and did not speak. Xianchen nodded with satisfaction. Still Kushina was aware of current affairs. Chapter 295 Can't stop it. What about the four of you? It's really too much for me to warm the bed for you, but you make me very dissatisfied and must be punished. Xianchen sat on the sofa with Erlang's legs crossed. I also know that you will feel sorry for not accepting the punishment, so I also thought of a good way. Yi Kang, Samui, Mabui, and Yuma all looked at Xianchen speechlessly. Then how do you want to punish us? Mabui asked weakly. Let's do it. Come over and kiss me. Of course, it's not a kiss on the face. You must not think about kissing the face perfunctorily. Xianchen said. No, we don't accept it. Samui immediately refused coldly. Teacher, don't bully people, they are so pitiful. Yuri Hong walked over and hugged Xianchen's arm and said. Hong, I told you long ago that the heart of the virgin is unacceptable, and they must have a long memory. What's more, this handsome guy like me doesn't mind. They still care about a fart. Xianchen gently flipped his hair. If that's the case, then I'll explain the punishment for them. Yuka said shyly. You can't. Why can't I? Yuka, who was originally blushing, became anxious and said quickly. You are too young. Xianchen shook his head and said. But they are also about the same age as me. Yuka said reluctantly. Except for Yi Kang, who was slightly older, everyone else was about the same age as her. Really? Xianchen scratched his head, and then found another reason. You are my apprentice, and I'm not such a beastly person. I can't do anything to the apprentice. Then you can play against the teacher. Tsunade, who was playing cards in another room, suddenly said faintly, and his voice just reached this room. Xianchen blushed slightly and shouted, shut up and play your cards well. Teacher, do you despise me? Hong Yui looked at Xianchen resentfully. Samui and the others are very confused. Didn't they say they were going to be punished? It's really a hindrance why there is a spoiler. Eh? No. It's better not to punish them. Why are they looking forward to Xianchen's punishment even more in their hearts? The four of Samui were in a mess. Ordinarily, they should hate Xianchen and think about how to escape. Now, they are actually working as maids here with peace of mind, and they have no intention of running away. In fact, this is the talent that Xianchen once drew. The attraction to the opposite is terrifying. The longer a woman has been in contact with Xianchen, the more she will like Xianchen. Of course not. Xianchen looked at Yuri Hong, who was about to cry, with a helpless expression on his face. He was very passive when facing the girl who was about to cry. Of course, it's limited to pretty girls. If an ugly girl is crying in front of Xianchen won't even look at her even if she's crying to death. Maybe she'll be annoyed and slap her with a knife. That's right, Xianchen is such a superficial person, he only likes pretty girls. Red Yuri was lying in the arms of Xianchen, tears kept dripping on Xianchen's clothes, which soon wet Xianchen's clothes. Xianchen wondered why there were so many tears. In fact, what Xianchen didn't see was that Yuri Hong, who was lying in Xianchen's arms, was snickering. Seeing that Yuri Hong had been lying in Xianchen's arms, Lin, Hongdu, and Xian couldn't stand it any longer. Adonis and Yuan looked at each other, then went up to pull Yuahiki away. What are you doing? Let me go quickly. Yuka struggled in embarrassment, very angry. Humphrey, it's not that easy to sneak away. Hongdu snorted coldly. They should be the ones who should be angry. Teacher, let's help you take Red Yui away. Yuzuki Yuan said, and then raised Yui Red's arm with Red Bean. Noharin and Mewtwo stood beside lifted Yui Red's feet, and then disappeared in Hyuga. In front of Chen, Xianchen stared blankly. What's the situation? Why are you going? Stop for me. Xianchen looked at the four maids who wanted to slip away. Well, can you change the punishment? Yi Kang said. I want your first kiss today, and I can't stop it when comes, I said. Xianchen stood up and came to the front of the four little maids. Who do you say to start with? Xianchen leaned in front of Samui and asked. I'll come first. Samui looked calm, but from her slightly trembling voice, she knew that she was not so calm. As soon as she finished speaking, Xianchen lowered her head and kissed. Samui's pupils suddenly widened, and she stretched out her hand to push Xianchen away, but with her strength, of course she couldn't push Xianchen. Since you can't resist, just bear it silently. This girl with a cold personality, her face became more and more ruddy. In the end, Samui gradually fell in love with this feeling, and she didn't know whether she was happy or embarrassed. This feeling of electric shock made her both like it and want to escape. Yi Kang, Azabui, and Yumarin next to him stared at this scene dumbfounded, thinking that they would also experience this scene for a while, and their faces were covered with red clouds at the same time. Yi Kang, You are the oldest, come next. The wooden man pushed Yi Kang. Why me? You come. Yi Kang took a step back, stretched out his hand and pushed Yuma and Mabuai, pushing them to the front. The shy Yuma and Mabuai gave up, of course, and pulled Yi Kang back. The three girls began to pull, and all the clothes on their bodies were torn. After a long time, Xianchen finally let go of Samui. At this time, Samui was standing in a daze, breathing the fresh air quickly. Okay, you don't have to pull. I am very satisfied with Samui, so I decided to let you go once. Thanks Samui, said Xianchen. The girls who were pulling stopped. The emotions in their hearts were a bit complicated, and at the same time they were relieved. A touch of loss rose in their hearts. Samui also came back to his senses at this time, two small hands shyly grasping the hem of the maid outfit, and he didn't dare to look at Xianchen at all. Even when Xianchen's eyes fell on her, she would turn around in panic like a little rabbit. I can't think of the cold and arrogant Samui, so shy. Xianchen thought to himself. Well, I'll go first. Samui ran out in a panic. In this room, there were only three daughters, Xianchen, Azabui, Yukito, and Yi Kang. Then we also left. The three women left together with an indescribable complexity in their hearts. Xianchen glanced at the window, then sat on a chair and drank tea. The tea that Mikoto brewed was completely two types of tea, one in the sky and the other in the ground, compared to the tea that Xianchen brewed a few times. Even Xianchen, who doesn't like drinking tea very much, will drink a cup when he has nothing to do. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, where you can find advanced audiobooks that hasn't been uploaded on YouTube till now. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.